So we are welcoming to the virtual stage the beautiful Terra Kelly, and it has been a bit of a funny mission trying to get her and I to connect at the same time because we're both a little bit technically impaired, I would call it. But this beautiful lady's background, she is an author, a recipe developer, an author coach, and creator of Your New Book Experience and helping other aspiring writers share their story. So I haven't really put too much into a huge grandiose introduction for her, but she basically lives her passion the way, like her way, and encourages you to do the same. And I think that's such a beautiful quality in a person when, you know, they lead by example just by purely being passionate. And the passion really, in my view, seems to be in the writing element and the connecting with people. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Terra and let her come in and say anything that she wants to say. But really, I would love to hear the story behind who you are as a person and what got you into all of the interesting and intricate work that you do today.
Ooh, that's a big one. um, so I didn't plan to be an author. I honestly, I went to school for broadcasting, which I always say is the reason that I met my husband. And then I went to school for nutritional science, but I honestly never planned on a writing career. And but I did write poems and I did write a children's book in school. And but I always hid them. I didn't want people to see them. And then I went to my internship after the nutritional science and to, so I already hid everything. I didn't plan any of that, aspect of writing. And then my director had said to me that I'm not a good writer. And so that just kind of added another layer of just self-doubt and not wanting to even ever show anybody any words in my life. And then we went 9 years like that. But I woke up with a dream in July of 2013, and I just kind of realized that there was something there, but I didn't understand it because I had denied the words for so long. And so I basically just got up. It was in the morning. It was a dream. So I got up and I went into the living room. My hubby was still sleeping and I wrote it down. And he came out and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I don't know. I have this like scene idea for a book, but I don't know why." And his words were, after he read it, were, "I want to know more." And that was like basically that spark that just kind of lit everything up for me. And I was able to say to myself, maybe I can try this. Maybe it's okay. um, I had a food blog that I started in 2010. So from 2010 until 2013, I was denying myself even anything, and I would just hand him the blog and go, "Okay, is this okay? Because I don't know," because I didn't feel confident. But then I started writing the book and I realized that I had something. And then people started reading my books and I knew that there was more. Um, so yeah, so I took myself, in 2014, I had to leave my job because of a back injury. And so words kind of started flowing even more. And I did like this 30-day, finish your book in 30 days. And I did it. And I finished the book and published that November. And so 6 years later, and I have 32 books published, and I've already got like
32.
four other more in my head. And yeah, it's kind of crazy, but um, and my self-confidence built every year. But I had to say, I still, until this year, let fear kind of decide who I was, where I was going to go in my life. I didn't ever feel like I was that great writer, and I didn't feel like I could help others with my writing. Um, so I just kind of held back on my full capacity of what I could do. So, but yeah, so then I'm here and I have these books and I have like this passion that I like the books, like as soon as you unleash your ideas, they just flow and they just happen. and it's a beautiful thing that occurs in your mind. So
I love that, Terra. And like when I listen to that, knowing that feeling, it's like complete certainty. And I would love to know when the last time was that you actually felt complete certainty in your world, as to like, I guess you're reconnecting with that now of going, no, god damn, I'm gonna do this. Like, you know, your husband's there and he's like, he's got your back, but at the same time I feel like you woke up and you were just like, I've got this regardless. And yeah, I would love for you to speak to that.
so I'm trying to think of how it goes back, but like, you know, the whole 6 years of doing my publishing, I was always doing what everybody else was doing. And you know how, like, they were like, yeah, I did this and this worked, and so I would just do everything they did, right? And so because I didn't, you know, I was like, nope, I can't figure this out on my own. I'm not skilled enough to be able to do this on my own, so I have to have everybody else telling me how they're doing it.
Mm.
um and I just kept feeling like that was wrong and it didn't feel right. And then in oops, and then in well, during the pandemic here, I just basically 2020, I just said, you know, I've got to switch things up. I'm not happy fully inside, and I know that I need to change. But what do I need to change? And so it was like, it was a process that I had to figure out. But I started following a woman that has this amazing program called Camera Confidence. And I'm always fearful in front of a camera. Now I'm not. Today I'm not.
Yeah.
Obviously.
We've
'Cause
got
we're
two
live.
going.
Huh.
Look out. We've got the paparazzi
Right,
coming as
right.
well.
But I was fearful. And so I joined this program. Well, she also has a group coaching program. And I made the decision in December of 2020 to join that program because it also helped your business overall. So you don't have to anymore do what everybody else is doing. Excuse me. You have to do what you want to do because people are coming to your business for you. And I thought that was a powerful statement. And so I joined it and I thought, okay, I still have some hiccups in me, but maybe my coach can help me. And the first 2 months in the program, I'm like, she would be like, you need to do the XYZ, and this is how this is going to happen, and this will be perfect. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And then in February of this year, she caught that I had kind of just entered some things wrong, and it kind of just, you know, put me on a weird path of figuring things out.
Mhm.
And so she got me centered, but it was that moment in February when she looked at me, she's like, Terra, what are you doing? And it was so cute, but it also, she was like, no, like, you need to know that you can help others with
Mm.
what you've done the last 6 years. You have the skill, you have the, you know, you have every ability available to help others with the publishing. And there are people out there that need you.
Yeah.
And her just kind of like real talk basically helped me to realize that I needed to just set myself straight. I needed to let go of all this fear that has always guided me and told me no, no, no. And yeah, and it literally is in February when I just finally just let go of my barrier and said, okay, let's do this. And it has propelled me into like all these cool things that, you know, I'm like, I go live twice a week on my Facebook page. I'm working on putting it on YouTube. I need to start doing Instagram. But and then yeah, I have a coaching program that I launched in April to help authors. And it's helping like people that have thought about writing a book or have a book started or finished a book. And that's kind of, I want to help them through the whole process. But I finally feel confident doing that even. So it's
Oh.
really exciting.
Do you have a specific date in February when this all just like catalyzed and exploded?
I think it was the 11th or the 13th. It
The
was one of
11th.
those two.
Do you mind if I get my hippie on and look what the moon was doing at that time? I just love the moon
Yeah,
so
I'm
much.
curious.
February moon phases. This
I
is
always
so
love
me.
learning this.
Righto. Let's see what it was doing. It'll probably come back with something that I don't understand, but that's totally cool. It'll be like, insignificant date. Cool, moving on. It was a new moon. That is a
It
time for
was?
creation. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. So it's like when the birthing of ideas come, because it's what we've just moved into recently. That's so amazing. I don't know why I felt like I needed to look that up. I have never done that in a podcast before. But that's just, I feel like today has been all signs. It's been crazy. But yeah, so like when we think of the new moon, of it going dark, like lately I've had people reach out to me saying like, Lauren, my energy's been real low, and just it feels uncomfortable, and I'm like, yeah, just go with it, because it's that time of like planting the seed, and it's when this creation comes, like when you allow yourself to be bored, or when you allow yourself to feel that low energy without slipping into depression or like stagnation. It's like, this is listening to the higher forces of like the universe and your body, of like what you actually need, of like rest, and write the crap out of whatever you're thinking about, and like just go hard in like birthing those ideas. So I feel like that's a really kind of momentous time for you, in a way of like, that's, yeah, sparked.
Really was. Yeah. Like that. I love hearing that because that's really powerful. And yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That speaks to me. So
What sign are you?
I am Capricorn.
Capricorn. Nice. Awesome. But
But see, I can't tell you anything of how my sign affects me because I'm bad and I didn't look that up, but I can't tell you. So
I feel like I don't know too much about Capricorn, but for some reason, all I remember about it is that it's an earth sign, and there's a stubbornness about it when it's imbalanced. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably just making things up. Let's be real. But
sounds good because it's definitely me. I'm very strong, like
yes,
strong-minded and
strong.
like determined. And,
Yes,
yeah.
totally. And it's like rarely ever get sick. But then I guess there's the contrary to that of when extremely imbalanced, it can go from really strong and sturdy. And it's like, if you're not strong and sturdy, it probably breaks down everybody around you as well, because it's like, oh God, like if Terra hasn't got this, we're stuffed.
That sounds great.
So it's actually really cool though, like with the work that you do as well, because of your story that's come through with that, of you never felt like you were good enough. And I'm sure that the people that come through to you are like, well, I feel like I can sort of write, or I feel like I can sort of do this, but it's nothing special. So like, how do you make someone feel like, I don't want to say like, oh, we're all special beings, but it's like, how do you make someone feel unique enough to pursue their passion, and guide them to that point when there is those elements of self-doubt and yeah, and just fear?
So it's basically taking like, it, because as a writer, you like as a beginning writer, I'm going to use this as an example. As a beginning writer, we me I when I started, I was like, oh, I'm just going to do this, but I didn't know anybody in the world that, at the time I didn't know anybody, and I was just diving in, right? And yet I still had all these emotions. And so like I would delete thousands and thousands of words, or I just still will tell you that, oh, if you read my first book, it's not the greatest, which is like silly to do. But, I would continue to do that. So when I created Your Story Your Way, I knew that what I wanted to do was take them from the beginning point, like what is the barrier? And also like piece out, like, say, okay, what is it? What is your why for your book? And discuss their book idea and figuring out what they want from it. What is their outcome that they want from it? And so we need to, we need to dive deeper with them. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm diving deeper with them so that we're not just going in head first and saying, okay, let's do this. We're able to work with them and say, okay, this is where you want to be, but this is where you are, and this is why you want to be at the end. to just make that journey easier and to build up that level of assurance inside that, okay, yeah, like this is what I want to create. And then as you're moving along, you're still keeping it at a slow pace with them, because we don't want to make them feel like jumping into it, because I don't feel like words ever should be rushed. In my romance world, words can be rushed, because there are writers that, actually it's not even just in the romance world, but that's what I was in, is that they they do what's called rapid release. And so, which means that you could publish 6 to 12 books in a year and not even blink. And that, and so for a writer coming in, they see rapid release, or they see people always publishing, or they see all the things. So you just take them away from all of those things that can be intimidating and excessive, and you just put them in a space that helps them to see just what they want, just what they dream up, and how their big outcome is. And don't focus on all the extra noise around you, because it's not worth it. And so don't go and research numbers and ranks and all the things. Um, and I believe that for them, it just makes them more confident in that space to create their book. Um, I think that, just like any human nature aspect, you're gonna have a moment where um, you're going to stop and you're going to be like, okay, I've written all these words, but I don't feel confident with them, because you get to what they call the middle of a book of writing, and it's murky middle. And you think that everything you've written is horrible. And one of my things that I always just say is, like, just keep writing. When people say that, I don't have any inspiration, or my mind doesn't feel like writing or whatever, I always just say, just put words down. And whatever words they are, you're writing and you're creating and you're letting that flow happen. And then, you can get back to that book and keep that flow, momentum going. But if you stop, then yeah, that creative flow will stop. And so my biggest thing is just write. Just, if it has to be every day for even just 5 minutes, just put words down that helps you to create.
And if anything, that's documenting, isn't it? Like, and I love what you said about just keep going, because I often think about that when I'm in the water, and if something scares me, if I'm like on a surfboard or something and I'm just like, oh, that freaked me out, I'm like, the first thing I do is paddle back out, because if I let myself think that, the moment of stopping is how I'm going to action things moving forward every time I get stuck, then we pattern, we're cyclical beings. And that's exactly what they'll do the next time. They'll go, oh, that's right, last time I stopped and I put it down, and yeah, nothing crazy happened, but I didn't feel great. But again, like you said, if you just keep writing and go, this isn't great, maybe you use that as your little documentation journal for the day, and you don't use a bit of it for the journal, for the novel or whatever piece of writing that they're using. So
It doesn't matter yet.
yeah, I love your approach to actually really love your approach to what you were saying before, because it really simplifies everything. We can get so lost on the internet, like the sea of the internet. Like, really, you can just go crazy into the waves there and just get so lost. And once you start searching, you'll find somebody else's course that you want to do. You'll find somebody else's writing that you wish you could write like. But you've got to remember that it is your story. It's the way that you write. And like you've experienced, the people that are coming to you now, they're there for a bit of the writing stuff, but they're coming because of you. And that's all just like, yeah, remembering to love yourself and honor yourself, and really value what you have to share to your people, because you're meeting them at a level that they're needing you to be at. Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I always, like, one of my biggest things that I share is that, you know, you can look on the internet and you can say, oh, there's already a ton of books about XYZ.
Mhm.
why would I need to put a book out? Or Amazon has, people publish like thousands and thousands of books a year. Why would I put a book out? Why would I put mine in that sea of books? Because it's your voice in your book and your message. And that alone is what people want. There are people out there that need you and what you have to say, because it's how you're going to say it and how you're going to deliver it that's going to speak to somebody. And
Yeah.
so just because there's thousands, it doesn't matter, because you need to still get your story out.
I heard these lyrics today and when I was walking to work, and it's like, your earth is somebody else's ceiling. And it feels like, to me, like it's such a beautiful way of looking at it, because it's like, you think you might be at the lowest of the ranks, but to somebody else, they're looking up to you, and to that person, somebody's looking up to them. Or, it's not like it's an hierarchy thing, but it's like, who are your teachers in each of the moment, like to get you from point A to point B? Because ultimately, people will probably move on when they're ready with learning from you, or even if they've learnt what they need to from you, they might just stay as your friend or whatever, and they find different mentors in different areas because that's something that they need to expand on, or that's something that you need to expand on. Like, you need to find new teachers to get you to the next level, to meet the new devil and all of that kind of stuff. So what kind of teachers would you say that you've followed along the way? I know you mentioned one earlier before, but who would you consider like your greatest role models?
Actually, I would say the author Joanna Penn is probably one of my other role models that I've been. You can find her under the Creative Penn with a double N. That's how she actually is
Yeah,
her tagline. I love it.
nice.
I have been following her, probably not the whole time I've been writing, but a good portion of it. Her podcast will teach you so much, but she's also just real, and she's honest, and she shares how she lives her passion her way, literally,
Mm,
in the sense that she does everything that works for her and her career and her life. And I found that really powerful when I started listening to her. I mostly listen to the podcasts,
yeah,
but then I also started reading her books. She has I think like 8 nonfiction books. Yeah, that's right, and they're awesome. So
amazing.
yeah, I would say that Joanna Penn for sure, and then my coach Molly Mahoney. Um, and then I'm trying to think of anybody, and I'm sure there's somebody that is in my brain, and I'm not able to say it right now because I'm still thinking. But yeah, that would be one of them for sure for you.
Oh, it's so nice, isn't it, to just like connect with someone. I guess it's what you do for other people, but again, it's really important to remember that the teachers need teachers. And this whole lineage thing of like where you came to the point of, I need a coach to either put me outside of my comfort zone, or to put me in a different area, right? Like, I can see your face lighting up with that, of like, I'm sure that's where a huge amount of growth has come for you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Um, it has been life changing, and I get emotional when I think about it. Like, I can feel it in my chest, because um, it's just a really powerful feeling to have her words and what she shares and how she shares it and how she believes in you
Mm,
so strongly. She's like, you guys are here for a reason, because I know you can do this. And then she continues with that powerful way of keeping us engaged and wanting to do more. And so every week I surprise myself with something new. Like just recently, last month, our lessons that we were learning was to set up for speaking engagements. And like, she's like, okay, here's how you do this, and this is what you do. And I'm like, I never, I mean, seriously, since I can remember, even back in college, I'm like, you will not find me on a stage speaking to anybody ever. And then that month I was like, okay, I'm gonna set this up, and okay, yeah, I'll do this. And I'm like, who am I?
what?
Like, what did she pull from me? Like, I want to do speaking engagements? What? So
Yes.
yeah, it's really powerful what she's done and how she's able to do it. And it's just that belief system in somebody. And I just I don't know, I just adore her on every level because of what she's been able to pull out of me and make me believe in myself too.
And I'm sure that's what you do for your clients as well. And I'm curious to know, because you give me the sort of vibe where I just would want to turn up and have a cup of coffee with you on your deck, your beautiful deck there, and just talk about this kind of stuff. But I'm curious whether like that is your style, or whether you're more like a virtual person and people just find you, or whether you're a very in-person kind of person.
And do you mean like, do I go and meet people and hang like that kind of thing? Or do you mean like
Yeah.
literally, am I just doing this stuff? Well, I mean, honestly, full transparency, the pandemic made me nervous to go out. So,
Yeah.
so I haven't done as much. My husband and I have a company. And so like we have an office and I'll go in with him to our office and I will see people and our employees and things like that. But I honestly, it's mostly virtual, and that's where I like said, I need to create my live shows each week because which is another part of my training that I had, is that, you know, understanding that going live helps people to see you, that human connection that you can create. And so I do a live on Tuesday and I do a live on Thursday, and that just is my way of kind of reaching out virtually to connect with people. So that's mostly what I do right now, but I'm totally comfortable in the future, you know, when I'm getting there, you know. I know things have changed here in America, that, you know, things are adjusting to where we can start to feel more comfortable and stuff. Uh, and so, yeah, so I'm getting there, but it's a slow process. So
It's all a
virtual works,
process,
right?
girl. And totally. And it has to be like it feels right kind of moment. And anything forced feels gross, or just like when you're on, like I mean I'm all about stepping out of your comfort zone to promote growth, but at the same time there is that level of like the kind of comfort that you're stepping out of. I guess there's reasonable risk, and then risk that it's like, oh, maybe not quite yet.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and you know, and I've gotten to the point where I'm like totally fine being live, which that I started that process last August. And so and I was doing live like for a couple months and then I kind of paused it, and then I'm like set since March completely. And so I'm comfortable with going live and connecting with people and doing whatever. So that's
Yeah,
helpful because once you
so
can get past that barrier, that's a big one, you know.
definitely. Yeah, I feel like there's no excuse now. It's like, you do it once and it's like, ah, like, is that all it was? Like, they're just a person
Yeah.
behind a screen. And it actually is like less intimidating, I find, when I'm looking at you now and it's like, oh, cool. Like, I can see where you live. And like, I had this, huge preconception that's like, oh, it's, technology is this and it's that. And I don't want to be seen on it like this. And it's like, actually, it's amazing. Like, you can connect with someone, like you said earlier. It was like, I feel like I know you already, and that's how it often
Yeah.
feels. It's like such a
Yeah.
beautiful sense of connection, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, I mean, there's a way to build that human connection that is really powerful that I think some people don't realize, but it's just, you know, just words, you know, even if like you and I messaging, or, you know, now doing these lives, but there's just that way of being able to, you know, connect that with just simple things, you know, and just
Yeah,
simple sentences, but you feel it, and I love that feeling. So, yeah.
definitely. What are your practices around keeping your writing game um current, I guess, because you were talking about before, like keeping the flow going, but I'd be curious to know what projects are in the making for you at the moment, and how you manage that around actually keeping your writing practices consistent, like as I would keep my yogic practices consistent for what I teach. Do you know what I mean? What are they for you?
Yeah. So I said to myself when I started with the coach, I was like, oh, I'm good. I don't need to write. My last book I published was October of 2020. And I was like, I'm good for a while. I'm gonna, you know, hold up and work on these other things. But yeah, when you're a writer and you have this writer's mind that begs to be told. I think it was the beginning of April. I finally was like, I got to get something going, man. And so I'm working on the fourth book in a small town romance series that I have. And so it's the one I published in October. It's the next one. And so I've been plotting it slowly because I was rolling out my course and doing all the things. But for me personally, I'm going to also be working on dictation, which I taught myself the end of 2019 and then a little bit in 2020. And I was like, if you're going to be busy, and I'm probably going to be hitting people that are busy, and so I'm going to be working on dictation too, just to keep the process flowing and never forgetting it, because I want the words, and I beg the words. I have two little short stories that I want to have like as prequels for my romantic suspense, and then this fourth book, and then I want to do a nonfiction for my, to kind of expand on my course. And I was like, I have 4 books that I want to write. Okay, this needs to get going. But there's, life. It gets so busy with all the things that you're doing. So I have all the tools that I can write down anytime. Anytime have a moment, I can write. But yeah, I'm going to also be using dictation to keep that flow moving too. So um, I am slowly getting back into it, even though I kept telling myself, no, no, no. I'm getting back into it because I know the power of it, and I know how much I love it and how much it makes me happy. And denying myself of it was a silly thing. But I thought that's what I had to do to start this course. But we can do it all. And that's kind of where my message is, flowing to now, is like, I'm like, even though like a lot of people will tell me they don't have time to write their book. And I'm like, I get that. I feel you. But we do have time. We can make and carve out that time for a passion that we have. And then I always say, even just 5 minutes is something, even if it's just a couple hundred words or whatever, it's something. And you've started the process, and you're creating, and you're working towards your goal. So
It's the short circuiting of the mind when you say, like, don't have time. It's like, of course you don't have time if you're telling yourself that. But if you go,
yeah,
I'll schedule 5 minutes, I'll wake up a bit earlier. And like you said, 5 minutes. If you can't manage to fit 5 minutes in your day, I'd be pretty curious to see how your relationship, your job, and all your other things are going with trying to fit things in. Because it's like, do you know what I mean? And not in an attacking way, but it's like, if you can't
right.
time manage 5 minutes around something, or stay up 5 minutes later, or do it 5 minutes before bed, it's like that's something that probably needs to be worked on long before you're trying to get your first novel out. And yeah, could you just actually talk to what the stages of writing are, because you were mentioning a chorus there, and I haven't really heard it put in that way, and my mind immediately went to like songs, and it just sounds like an extended version of songwriting, really.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to tell me if it is, because I don't know. But
Amazing.
so you ask questions in the beginning and figuring out where your path is, and then you kind of start planning it. And so you're going to be, writing down like, well, I have these ideas, and you're just, putting them on paper, and they can just be all messy because they're just a plan and a thought. But you just want to get those thoughts out, and then you would go into plotting. And with plotting, not everybody plots, but if you want to plot, some people are what are called pantser, and they just want to dive into writing the words. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've done it. But I feel like what I feel like is that I want to not push anybody, but I want to encourage the plotting aspect, because it just, if you have ever a barrier or overwhelm, then that plotting aspect just kind of lays it out for you, and then you can see a clearer picture on your path. And so I encourage the plotting aspect of it, and is no right or wrong for plotting. Like, everybody teaches all different ways. I've created my own way. So, whatever works with that process. And then you would start into the writing process. And with the writing process, I mean, there could be, like, you could write your first draft, and the first draft is always messy, ugly, horrible. Uh, and then you just like can clean it up yourself and go through it again. So there's like stages that you're going to take with your book. You may go through a couple stages, and then send it to your editor, which for me, I'm not an editor and I never tell anybody I am. But I can help you with that process of finding an editor. And so then you would get it to an editor and they would go through the process. And you have choices with editors, and there's like developmental, and there is I can't say the word right now, where they just like look at like grammar and simple stuff. And then you go into so you can dive deeper into an edit, or you can have basic, is really what I should say, like that. And then you get your book back and you're going to go through it again. You're going to clean it up again. And then if it feels good, you can start the process. And while your book is with the editor, you could be creating your cover. You could be thinking about what you want in the front matter and the back matter of a book, and kind of figuring that out. So that when you get your book back and you get it to where it's perfect, nothing's ever perfect, but perfect for you, um, then you can start to format the book and do the whole process of creating the ebook and the paperback. There are processes with audiobook, which I can help with that too. But um, and then and then you're like, okay, well, I have this book done. What now? And then I would just, help them with where they want to be with promoting it. Do they want to be on social channels and be omni-channel? Do they just want to focus on Facebook? Do they just want to focus on Instagram? And once you can kind of break that down, then you can kind of help them on each one of those channels and how they're going to go about it.
Totally. I love that. So where does the chorus part fit into that? I don't know why my mind is just so drawn to the chorus. Is that like the bit in between, like you were saying?
That's the course though. That is like literally helping them from start to finish with their book.
Were you saying the course, not the chorus?
Oh, yes. Online course.
I'm like, why am I so lost in this? That's brilliant. Here I am going like, what's the
So good.
chorus in a book? Like, this is a whole new concept for me. That's hilarious. I get it now. Cool.
That's cool.
Amazing. Oh, I love that. It's very, I think it's simplified to the point of like, it sounds achievable. And I know that if people are passionate about writing or have a little bit of a background in it, that at least gives some actionable steps towards like, okay, this is where I can start. And I feel like that is really your strength of meeting them at that point where they're at and going, okay, like, let's get to know, like you said, start with why, like Simon Sinek says, and everything else, like the what and the how, is going to roll out after that. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I love being able to help others. Now that I finally have moved past that barrier, I've noticed how I'm like, oh, this is really exciting, and I can't wait to keep building upon that aspect, because it does bring me a lot of joy to be able to help others. On top of, it helps me too, because it helps me inside to grow and see my strengths that I do have, that my coach said I had and I didn't believe. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's exciting all around.
Wow, I love it. What podcast, book, or resource would you recommend to our viewers and listeners that, it can be book related or it can be completely separate of something that lights you up?
Well, I love listening to Joanna Penn's podcast, so that would be for sure
The
that
Creative
one.
Penn, is that it?
Double N.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's literally and she goes on, I believe it's every week still. Yeah, she's still doing every week. And then because I love email marketing, I listen to the email marketing show. So I'm kind of a nerd on technology stuff too.
I love it.
I also love, it's KM, and so it's KM, and it's Wieland. And her books, she does character development and understanding about characters and plotting and all the stuff. And I would say that Cam Wieland is someone that I love reading her stuff, and I love following anything like her emails and all that, because she really helped me to see the character aspect of it, like understanding the full, all the different character people that you can have, like protagonist, antagonist, you know, and then you always have to have this person over here doing this and this person over here doing this throughout your book. And so she really helped me grow. So I would say her. And then I'm also into funnel marketing. So so
Same.
Expert Secrets is the book that I
Oh,
love by
so good.
right? It's so
Yeah.
good. I love that. And I feel like that messaging is for anybody, really. Like you can learn so much from it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I would say those are mine.
I
And
love that.
actually, you know what? I'm gonna point out my coach is Mahoney, and she has a book out. And I cannot tell you the title right now, but if
Sure.
you look up Mahoney, I can always send it to you too.
Okay.
And it's Mahoney, Mahoney.
Gotcha.
She has a book out, and that book it's not long, but boy, is it self-empowering. Like it's like every word you read, you're just like, yes, like I want more of that because you just like you get excited for what she's sharing. So
Cool. That's come up in Google is prepared performer, social media.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah, cool. I'll pop
Yeah.
all of this stuff in the show notes as well for people to be able to access the people that you've recommended, but also your social media contacts as well. And
Okay.
yeah, what's your most favorite character that you've created? If you feel like sharing that, I would love to hear.
Oh gosh. Well, I would have to pick two, and it would be my first character. I'm always going to go back to Isabella, and that's because she helped me grow, you know, into who I am. And so it's going to be my first character that I wrote. And sure, it was my first book, and it maybe not my strongest, but yet she is still with me with like things that I do and how she just her happiness and her way in life. And so for me, I love her character so much. And she has pieces of me in there too. So
Of
so
course.
it's fun. But I also really love my character Lily in my romantic suspense books. And in those is I'm a fan of MMA, mixed martial arts. And so I created this romantic suspense series that is wrapped around women fighters. And then, of course, I had to put the mob bosses in there and just get all crazy with it. But
Yes.
I really enjoyed Lily's character and her strength and how she, you know, who she was to where she grew into this amazing fighter. And so it's very empowering to me. So, yeah.
Just to allow like the viewers and the listeners to connect with a little bit more about who you are, like where would people find you if you're not writing, and what is something that like not many people know about you?
Um, Well, I have a hearing impairment is my one big thing that most people don't know about me. And so I read lips. So like if I don't catch stuff, I'm just sitting and watching you. That's why I probably like live stuff the most because I can sit and read your lips because that's how I was taught when I was young. Um, and so that is most people like, and when I say it, they're like, I had no idea because I've been able to work on it, even though it is a very severe hearing impairment. Um, and then where can they find me? Is that what you said when I'm not writing?
Yeah.
And I love sitting on this patio, and my husband and I grill fancy things all the time, and we have so much fun with this grill, and so much fun together because we're just best friends, anyways. And so, yeah, you'll find me on this patio grilling, or sometimes working side by side, just so we can, you know, hang out together when he's not busy with his stuff. But yeah, that's
Where did
usually
you
where you're
meet
gonna
your
find.
husband, and how long
So
have
I'm
you
from
been together?
We've been together for 27 years, and I'm
That's
married for
amazing.
23. Yeah, it's crazy when we think about it, though. We are both from Michigan. We live in North Carolina now, but we're from Michigan, and that's where we met. I met him in college, but he was not a student.
Yeah.
But it was all safe. Everything was fine. Everything was
Yes.
fine.
I take it
He
you're
was not a
older.
teacher. So
Yes.
yeah, no, it's good. It's really fun to think about like how long we've been together. And we were just saying this yesterday. We're like, but we like being around each other. Like we like each other. So,
Isn't
which is
it the
powerful.
best? Like after that many years, I think that's so powerful, and like to just see people who genuinely love being with each other, and to like, I guess for me, like I love looking at couples that have such a strong relationship over time, because it's such a good reminder, especially when a lot of like, I guess the majority can complain about either masculine or feminine energies or in partnerships, and it's like, actually doesn't have to be like that. Like if you actually understand what other people's needs are in general, not just in an intimate relationship, it's like you can meet them where they're at, and it can just feel so synergistic of like, maybe the male side needs somebody to ask them more, and it's like, you know, the woman's side needs to speak up more, and it's like, it's not annoying to the man for a woman to do that, or whatever your dynamic is, but really
Yeah.
communicating that. And like, you know, you are obviously good with words with being a writer, but to be able to also translate that to your relationships as well is like such a beautiful gift, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. We believe in that 50-50. Like we're a team, and
Yeah.
that's how we work in our life completely. And we actually said that yesterday again, is like, no, that this is what it is. We're a
Yeah.
team, and we're in this together completely 100%.
I love that, girl. I love it. So where can people find you? I've got your details here that I will include in the show notes, but for people to best get in contact with you, I'll just let you say that.
So I made it easy on all social platforms. And so if you just type in Tara Kelly author on Facebook or Instagram, Pinterest, and I think I adjusted it on YouTube also, because I'm working on getting all my stuff on YouTube. But
Yeah,
I'm always on Facebook and Instagram for sure. And it's
cool.
just Tara Kelly author.
And they can
Yeah.
find the rest from there, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I basically have um I have the link. Yeah, I have the link in both of them, which takes you to like it's like chat with Terra dot let's connect, I think is the link. But don't quote me. There's a link, like if you go to my Instagram page, you'll
There
see it.
is. I saw that.
Perfect. Okay. And I put like, some like if you want to go to my master class, which I'm going to be doing once a month, where to start master class, or if you want to find out more about everything with the course or anything, I have some lead magnets. But then I have down below that, like all my books and, my online store and all the good stuff. Yeah.
Yay! Well, we'll get people funneling into that, and maybe you'll get some Aussie views on your website. And you know, who knows when people will be watching this video? It could be 5 years down the track. And I think that's what I love about doing stuff like this and just starting. It's like this process of giving back and delayed gratification when so much of this world is focused towards like, I need results now. It's like, actually, it's the progress and it's the process that is the fun bit, right?
Yes, 100%. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and if they want to get a lead magnet, you can, like, we're on Instagram Live right now, right?
Yep.
But also I know with the podcast, if they want to message me privately, like Messenger or the DM and Instagram with the word 5, I will get it to them. So yeah, I
Perfect.
just try to keep it easy. So
I did see that on one of your recent posts. So yeah, the number 5 or spell out 5, whatever. I'm sure Terra
yeah.
will love it either way. So I am aiming to get everyone back on this podcast who has come on to recap and see whether you've actually stuck with the things that you've said as well. So it could be like a year from now, it could be 6 months, depending on whenever it is that we connect. It could be next week. Like, who knows what the moon will be doing? Who knows what I'll be doing, let alone the moon? So prepare for random, prepare for you to be held accountable. And yeah, I've really,
I,
really enjoyed chatting to you, girl.
I truly enjoyed this. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome, beautiful. And we will reconnect soon. So yeah, get in contact with Terra if her story has resonated with you. And it certainly added value to my world. And I'm sure that that's enough for me, but I'm sure it's touched more people than just me. So that's what this is all about, adding value and pass it on to somebody that, if it wasn't quite your cup of tea, if you know somebody who loves writing or is trying to write a book or get started, Terra is your girl, and there's no excuse with virtual these days. So get onto it.
True.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome, beauty. We shall chat very soon. Take care.
Awesome. You too.